Looks better.
Good morning, Bob and Dick.
Good morning.
Just doing a quick sound check. It sounds like it's okay. Does it come through good on your end, Dick?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I got
Morning, gentlemen.
Okay, I'm off, honey.
Morning, Bob.
Morning. How's everybody this morning?
Sun's shining. It's a beautiful day out.
The sun is an important factor these days.
earlier and stop whatever was going on. My sister had an experience with hospice also. Her husband had cancer, and she said one of the worst experiences she's ever went through. He was suffering in pain, and they said, well, we'll send somebody right out. She said 12 to 36 hours later before somebody would show up. And it sounds like somebody needs to investigate this hospice program to create it doesn't seem like they're afraid to charge for their services and not deliver a service.
All right, Bob, it looks like at least all of the supervisors are here. Some of the, and I think all of the staff, it looks like, are logged in. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, we'll let this thing roll. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statutes, so that the citizenry may be aware of the time, date, time, and place of the meeting and the agenda. Only in person can make any comments, and so we've got what we've got, I think. Calling the meeting to order, the first thing is the roll call. It shows I see everybody here. We're good on that. Moving along, review and accept the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we accept the agenda.
I hear a motion, and I see a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Moving on. Previous meeting, November, a long time ago.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of the previous meeting.
I remember reading them. I would approve, we approve those minutes.
You guys go.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes, Bob.
My internet connection is unstable. Here, okay,
I think we lost Bob.
now it's coming.
We can hear you. You may want to look if you could.
I'm having a hard time understanding things, but
Bob, if I could make a suggestion, if you could turn off your video, that might help
am
stabilize.
I better? Not quite sure what's wrong here. Just a minute, I have my assistant. Cool.
Is your plug all the way in? Move in.
Come in. The plug is always in.
And that one all the way
It's
in?
always in.
You can't, they can't hear you?
Yeah, apparently.
No, Bob, I think you're okay now. When your internet connection, if it does that again, the first thing I would suggest is you stop your video. And
Okay.
because then we can focus the bandwidth, and then once it stabilizes, then join video. And that's just good troubleshooting for anyone.
I'm not even a good troubleshooter. In any event, I made a motion that we accept the minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second out there. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Yes. Okay. We are down to correspondence. Any?
I do not have a record of any.
Okay. We're flying down here. Outreach Extension Program.
All right, so good morning, everyone. Well, this morning Penny is going to share some highlights. So Penny, I believe I just clicked the right box, and you should be able to share your screen.
Wonderful, thank you.
I see you.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm good.
On Friday, my PowerPoint decided not to work, so I'm using Google Slides for my presentation for the first time, which, you know, is very similar to PowerPoint, so we should be good. But I have a couple slides. What I'd like to do this morning, just because it has been quite a while since I reported, I would like to share just some of the highlights of what some of our 4-H clubs, the individual clubs out in the county, have been doing since COVID and the last like 6 to 8 months or so, and then a little bit about some of the programming that I've been working on. So I wanted to give an overview of the last number of months in our 4-H program. So, oops, I already lost my screen to share. Just a second. There we go. Let's do that. And here, and we'll try that again. Okay. Then where did present go?
4-H updates and virtual learning.
There. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So yes, that is what I'm doing. That is what I just said. So we do have, just as a reminder, within our 4-H program, we have 18 4-H clubs in our county. And our enrollment is under process right now, or in process, I should say. And so we're trying to keep track of our re-enrollment numbers. But over the last number of months with COVID and the guidelines through extension, and some of our places where clubs would normally meet have their own guidelines of who can meet and what they can do. So, there's been a lot to try and figure out over the last months. And so we did have 8 of our clubs and 3 of our project committees. They did try some in-person things, which every one of those, even if it's just a monthly meeting, with a couple people, every one of those needs a program approval form completed. And so that's something that the club leader works on, and I work on each one. For a while, Chris was approving those, and now our state program manager is approving those. And so the form, once you do one, it's not too bad, but it is still a 5-page form that you need to consider all of the COVID restrictions, if there's going to be food at a meeting, if you're able to sanitize the tables and the chairs where people are sitting, what the mask requirement will be, if it's inside or outside. So, I've submitted, 30, 40 program approval forms. For each meeting and event that either a club wants to try or that I would like to do. And so some of our clubs, they did hold meetings outside, which in parks, in pole buildings, open air barns, if you have a large yard. One club was just approved to have an inside meeting with 10 people in each of 5 different rooms at Christus Church in Clintonville. So that's our first one that was approved to be an inside meeting in winter with these different pods, is what the university calls them. And so I'm going to be going up there to help with that meeting, potentially, depending on the leaders that they have. One of our 4-H clubs did a drive-through club awards ceremony and a Christmas party, an officer meeting. Another one did a drive-through Halloween party. Everybody came in costume. We had a few clubs do bell ringing. We've had some sledding and skiing approved, being outside. It's easier to have those approved and be able to social distance. We had drive-through trick-or-treating. Lebanon Cedars did that at the Town of Lebanon Hall for the community to come through. We've done roadside pickup, and Sandy Knoll down in Caledonia is working on a Valentine meal delivery. They've done that annually to seniors and people who aren't able to leave their homes, that they've taken them like soup and a sandwich, and that was approved for them to do that as a no contact event. Like they'd be able to, drop something off for those individuals. So that's just an example of some of the things that some of our 4-H clubs have done in person since COVID started. And we've also had, most of our clubs have done virtual and no contact meetings. And so some of those are, just regular monthly meetings over Zoom, or a few have done Google Meet. So just the different virtual platforms. some of those have included games, trivia, scavenger hunts, all of those types of things. We've had some no contact fundraisers and community service projects. So one of the clubs made tie blankets for the needy. They took them like to the homeless shelter, places like that. We had one club do Operation Christmas Child, an aluminum can fundraiser, making cards for the nursing homes, items for the troops. One of our clubs did thank you notes to the firefighters. So just trying to do some of those things that families could do on their own, or as a virtual or no contact opportunity. Bingo and Jeopardy. We've did a club game night. We had one club do pumpkin carving and people turn in pictures. They're planning to do a snowman building contest when we have enough snow, potentially, now or later. Another one of our clubs had put together an envelope of supplies that was, they have 9 families in their club, and the club leader's family dropped an envelope off at each club household, and they opened them at the same time during the meeting. So it was, like a surprise that they were able to open. They had a prepackaged snack in there, a bingo card, and then craft supplies that they made some snowflakes at Christmas time. And so that was fun. They're going to continue that for each of the next couple months. And then we have one club that's also working on project boxes for each family, and they're doing one a month. And like February, they're going to work on a woodworking project. So just, really trying to stay engaged with the families and with the community, and continuing that tradition of community service along with the learning and the belonging part of 4-H, and just trying to stay connected is a big focus right now. At the county level, so we did have our virtual music, drama, and speaking contest, a record book workshop, a number of meetings over Zoom that I've had with ambassadors, leaders board, project leaders. We have, through our 4-H Leaders Association in our county, we created a moving forward committee, and just trying to come up with ideas for either clubs to implement or at the county level. We did have an in-person pumpkin, watermelon, and sunflower poster contest. We did a drive-through award ceremony that was held at the courthouse in the parking lot, and that really went over well. People really enjoyed that. It was the first weekend in November when it was like 70 degrees out, and people came through, and it was a nice day out for families and just to see some other people from 4-H. We've done project boxes, which, like I just highlighted that in our extension impact report last week. We've offered 10 different boxes so far. And it's a great opportunity for people, and it's time consuming. So to work on the directions to go in the project boxes, getting all the supplies together. Amy and Annette have been extremely helpful in the office, trying to help me pack those. I have pickup times at the courthouse and usually the Lebanon Town Hall over here, since I live right here. Especially for some of the families further north, it's nice for them to pick something up here instead of the courthouse. But those project boxes, they've been successful, and they're a lot of work, but it really is just trying to continue that learning at home that we want to focus on in the 4-H program. 4-H Friday was the publication I started last April and had done monthly through August, and then 2 times a month through the end of the year. With 3 different project activities in there, or highlighting something else happening at the time. We had a family fun night. I'm doing an officer training coming up in February via Zoom. We've continued our new leader training. So if people want to become 4-H volunteers, we have continued that. I believe I've trained about a dozen volunteers in our county, and I do that in connection with other counties. And so we've trained a number of adults still wanting to become 4-H volunteers. I'm also working with a committee, our traditional Super Saturday project day, where we've usually had over 300 people at the school in Manawa, which isn't going to happen this year at the end of February. We've been meeting a couple times and have a variety of ideas that we're working on for February, March, and April to do some things with project boxes, some things with like where we're recording a video and then they can just watch it. Some others where we'll have like a live Zoom where they'll work with somebody to complete a project. And so just trying to think out of the box a little bit more. And we also are starting our horse project monthly meetings tonight, actually via Zoom. And so, you know, people, I know, you know, there's people that don't like the technology and there's people who are getting used to the technology. And so, you know, we're just really trying to continue to be able to move forward with the things that we are known for in 4-H and just trying to continue those opportunities. Here's just a couple photos that I just put together. So on the left, with the butterfly and the colored pencils, that was an art box that we put together this summer as one of the project box opportunities. The picture in the top in the middle is that's a half of the boxes and bags that we gave out, or not gave out, that families bought. And it's not a fundraiser at all for 4-H, just so people understand that, just covering the supplies. So that was half of one of the groups of boxes that we did. And up in the top right, that was our group that did the drive-through for the awards ceremony outside the courthouse, all masked and ready to go. We had treat bags for all the kids that came through, and we gave out about 75 treat bags. So it was just a really fun day. The bottom middle is our pumpkin contest that we did in person at the city park in Waupaca. And the bottom right is, that's Allie Knespel with her goat. She helped this summer when I put together videos for the public library in Clintonville for their story time. I worked with some of our older youth and did interviews with them about some of their projects, and those became part of Story Hour for the Clintonville Library. And so that's just a couple examples of things that we've been working on. And lastly, these are some of the things, what has happened a lot more since COVID started is the working across counties and just really trying to maximize our each person's talents and abilities to, you know, continue to move forward with things. If we're able to offer something by working with colleagues in other counties where we might have, like our one example here is the Clover Cookie Creations. That was a 4-week project series for the Foods Project. I worked with, I believe, 7 other counties to put that together. We had over 50 families participate, and I had about 8 from Waupaca County. So, you know, if we're able to get together with the other counties and be able to offer something for 50 people, you know, it really makes sense to do that. And so some of the things that I've worked on as more regional or statewide events, these are just the ones that I've been a part of. There are also numerous things at the state level that our youth have available to them that they can just sign up as well. But we did the Flat Stanley, we did a pen pal project for Cloverbuds based off of the Flat Stanley books. We sent them a pen pal packet and they did that. That was with 5 other counties. We've done 2 statewide family game nights. This last one was just 2 weeks ago. We had over 100 families from across the state on there. We did a 4-H fall forum for youth and adult leaders. I taught a session about Cloverbud projects, and I also helped with a session on the 4-H movement, which I will highlight on my last slide after this. And the Clover Cookie Creations, which I mentioned, we've done annual leader training, which I already, the other annual leader training, sorry. There's a leader training. Every club or group in the county has to have at least one person participate in an annual leader training. And with the way things are right now, that was offered statewide instead of like myself doing those trainings within the county just for my clubs. And I had supported that on all 3 sessions. They focused on the 3 parts of a meeting: business, education, and recreation. 2 things that I have coming up, I will be a part of. We're doing a virtual fitness series with a couple other counties, and winter leadership camp for grades 7 and up. And I'm working on creating a virtual escape room based on like new families joining 4-H, and you have to help them learn things to get through this escape room. And that's something that I'd be interested to share once we have that complete. And so what I wanted to end with, and any questions, but I also wanted to just end with sharing a little bit more. This 4-H movement is, that was a state team that I was a part of. And what we did was, I just need to move my picture here a little bit. We put together, I know this is kind of hard to see, that these 6 things that are a part of really the values of 4-H. And as a state group, we put this together that in 4-H, 6 things that we really try to provide to families or to youth: being yourself, building connections, exploring new opportunities, belonging together, discovering skills, and giving back to your community. And we do have a colleague who is very good with the graphics and had put this together. We worked on the words, and she made it all come together with simpler words on the left for people that would like simpler words and younger children, and on the right just a little bit more about what that means. And the symbols in the middle, like the apple and the heart and the light bulb, represent our head, heart, hands, and health of the 4 H's of 4-H. And so this is something that was sent out, or not sent out, shared statewide. And I believe they're working on trying to get that as a, to share it nationwide. And I was just going to show just a minute or 2 of the video that some of my colleagues had put this together to go with the 4-H movement. So I'll just show like a minute or 2 here. Do I have to reshare? Could you hear music?
No, I think you might have to end and reshare, and then make sure at the bottom that the that computer audio is clicked.
Okay.
Is checked.
Okay, I will do that. Let's see.
You see somewhere where it says share computer audio or share my computer audio?
Yep, I'm getting there. Let's see. Well, let me try it. If it doesn't work, we'll just skip that. Were you hearing that?
I hear nothing.
Okay. Then I won't do that. It wasn't, it told me I could stop sharing computer audio, but it didn't tell me I could start sharing computer audio. So anyways, there's a really nice video to go with that 4-H movement. But that was something that I had worked on with colleagues around the state, like I had said. I'm gonna just go back. I did have, let me just one more thing. Oh, let's just try that again. Okay, I need to, okay, well, never mind that. All the bars are covering up the bars I need to get to, and that's really kind of frustrating when that happens. The one last thing that I wanted to highlight, but it does take a really long time to download, so I won't be able to share it from my laptop, but with the Clover Cookie Creations, the 4-part series that I had assisted with, I did work with one of the youth from our county, Abby Acker from New London, and she created a video of making a certain type of cookies and giving tips to everybody that was on. And that was just really nice to have a youth do one of those sessions and teach that. And so that was fun to have from Waupaca County to be able to share that with those other counties as well. And she did a great job of sharing her knowledge about cookie making. And on those cookie Zooms, you know, making cookies sounds like it's just, baking and having fun. And we did have education as a part of those. I had contacted 2 of our county fair certified judges that came on 2 of those different Zooms to give pointers to people, like if you're looking at taking these things to the fair, and these are the things that you can learn while baking and evaluating that project that you're working on. So there is a lot that can be done to highlight all of our projects and ways of learning that we try to do. So that I probably talked rather fast, but that is really an update from the last number of months within our 4-H program for our 4-H clubs, county opportunities, and some of our larger regional and statewide opportunities. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any. Okay, thank you
You've
very
been
Good
much.
job.
busy.
It's a good job.
Thank you.
All right, so if it's okay, Bob, I will begin my section. Thank you very much, Penny.
Go for it.
Even though I do get an opportunity to hear and keep up with what all of the educators are doing, it's very impressive to be able to see all of the things that have been done in these challenging times. This is a group that has not said, "Oh, we can't do anything." It's okay, what can we do and how are we going to do it well? So that's pretty impressive, and it's something to be proud of. I'm proud of this group. I'm proud of all of the other educators that I have an opportunity to work with and the work that they're doing. A couple of updates, just I'll go in order. So facility and staff, with the University of Wisconsin, we're still, staff are still in a primary telecommuting mode. We'll reevaluate the situation as we get to the end of March. Now that does not mean that they're still, as like Penny mentioned, 4-H clubs still have an opportunity to have face-to-face meetings within certain parameters. Staff are still meeting with key partners, still spending time in the office, trying to just make sure that it's part of my role to make sure that we don't have like everybody all in the office, to increase the opportunities for transmission and those types of things. So just to try to manage that. And we have been, since we're with Annette and Amy, open to the public, both of them are set up to what I call casual telecommuting. So if there are things that we need to do from remote locations, we are able to do that, but there is always someone in the office obviously there's a chance here or there that the door might be closed if someone's, going for lunch or a break or something, but we still are able to maintain that presence. So being able to maintain that, we, as the university, looking at the situations county-wise, also then looking at what the most current health status is as we learn more. So that's where we're still at a primary telecommuting mode. One of the things to consider, or one of the things that we're looking at is so an update with the ag vacancy. Basically, with the state budget situation the way it is, there are not enough funds to match for the state to match all of the local county, all of the county partners that wish to. So currently, right now, ongoing, they've actually been going on for about 2 months now. Just before, so probably not quite, about 2 months, about 6-8 weeks. So right after our last meeting in early December, there are multiple work groups looking at each of the different areas within the Ag Institute. So the horticulture, dairy and livestock, crop and soils, and the farm management, all those teams, plus a team of area extension directors. So myself and a couple of other groups are working together to help create an ag staffing plan that is going to be, one, fiscally responsible, because there's only so much state dollars to go around, to then figure out ways, how can we work to provide access to the outreach educational resources and reach the producers, the consumers, the residents of the counties with their questions. So those are working out. Ag is the first one to have a staffing model similar to this. The other institutes are a little bit different, but those types of models are maybe coming as the budget dollars roll out. Short term, there is coming online soon is a statewide horticulture diagnostics initiative, which will traditionally, if someone had a bug or a weed question, they would walk through the front door, and there would be an expectation that the county ag educator, the ag agent, would have that knowledge. Individuals are still welcome to walk through the front door. We're going to have, at some point, hopefully early to mid spring, we'll have resources to be able for them to have that managed centrally or statewide. So there's a smaller crew, including engaging master gardener volunteers who are trained and really good at this, to be able to provide support. But thinking ahead, so one of the things, like I work with Amy and I work together, and at the end of we were looking at being able to help constituents that might be coming in. So we upgraded the microscope camera setup so that if someone does come in, we're better able to capture an image and then get it to the individuals that are doing the diagnostics. So that's an example of a small part that we're hopefully able to do. We also currently have temporary connections where Amy and I will work with John Thompson in Winnebago County. In some cases, depending on the need, Kevin Jarek in Outagamie County, depending on the area of expertise, to provide coverage in the interim until we settle upon or have the opportunities to look at how we're best able to look at long term here in Waupaca County in the ag area. The other thing to consider looking at staffing, so as the first of the year rolled over, we do have a portion so last February or last March, we had a staff, one of our staff members, our support staff, took another role within the county. So in the interim, while we were in telecommuting mode, both Amy and Annette were able to increase their percentages. And then so there is still a part-time FTE that we're currently holding vacant. I am waiting until we do resume back into regular operation to then look at how we would best able to use that. If there is an opportunity moving forward, that's a conversation where we will look, I will engage this committee to look at if, how would we, if there's a potential use those funds to possibly support other extension education opportunities should they present themselves. Looking at increasing our support staff because we're back to the hustle and bustle, or make the decision that we won't fill that position and then we will return those budget savings, but back to the county. But I would like that is not it's one of those things I'm not ready to have those conversations because I do feel we have to get back to a normal state, and the ag staffing plan needs to be developed so we know where things are at. So that's some staffing updates. Couple of other things just to look at in addition to a couple of those things, and supporting some of the things that Penny was shared this morning and the other educators have shared previously. There are 2 statewide work groups that have been formed that are pretty important. One, there is a work group that's working to catalog, identify, and record, so we don't lose all of what are the best practices, and collecting from around the state, because there's a lot of things that we could look at as far as that are negative from the COVID response and the need to change our programming. But there are also some good things that we can take out of it, and we don't want to forget those or lose those. And also consciously, so for example, Penny was saying, has examples, she's been able to work and partner with some of her colleagues throughout the state on different projects. And there are other groups and pockets that have been created and that have created some really resourceful and really intriguing type activities to try and get those into kind of a library so that staff are able to then be able to use those as tools. And then we can add those to our tried and true, face-to-face meetings and facilitation techniques and other educational learning things once we get back into a more normal state. In some cases, there's going to be some things that we are going to that I think some of our audiences we're going to hang on to. I know, and I'll just put on my old 4-H hat. I would love it if a certain, a 4-H leaders group or a committee or something like that didn't mind meeting by Zoom, and I didn't have to necessarily drive home at 10:30 at night. And I could, we still were able to have a good meeting, those types of things. And there are still going to be opportunities if you're trying to teach and learn that you're probably going to want to try to have some face-to-face interaction. So that's a group, and they're trying to document those pieces. Another thing that's coming, and I don't know if this has been necessarily announced extension-wide, is on the Zoom platform. There is going to be an add-on added to the Zoom platform throughout all of our UW extension Zoom accounts that's going to allow real-time captioning at a very high level. So one of the things for Zoom recordings is a limiting factor in that there's a lot of things that we can record our Zoom meetings, but currently we are unable to share some of the recordings in a public format because the closed captioning requirements are not met. And a closed captioning service is going to be added so that it will automatically do that at a rate in which will allow for that to be public, to be shared publicly. That's a pretty big deal. Closed captioning is something that is very time intensive, and it's also very expensive, or it can be very expensive to get it done accurately to the level that's needed. So that's something, those are things that we probably never would have been able to push the envelope on, but we're able to do. That is also something that's happening across all of UW-Madison. So that's not just a division of extension, but because of all of us, the collected effort of being able to need to do that, we're able to move some things forward. So that's coming soon. I just know coming soon. I don't have a date yet of when it will happen, but that's just what we were, what I had picked up. The other work group that I mentioned statewide is looking at, prior to last March, University of Wisconsin-Madison did not have, or currently does not have, a permanent telecommuting policy. The current situation, or the current status of change in status, has allowed the University of Wisconsin-Madison leadership has said that each division in school and college has an opportunity to review and then submit telecommuting plans or opportunities within UW-Madison. Now, this may or may not, I don't think this is going to have as big of an impact for our extension educators. It may, I think it may, because partially with the outreach, our folks are out and about so much the way that it is. So that's where it's unlike, might be unlike some other spaces, but there may be some opportunities and some options to be able to do that. Once we know what the parameters are, then we would be able to engage staff in what they feel might work the best. There also is the potential for cost savings down the road. There also, with that, there is the potential that that staff may have to absorb some of their own cost savings, because most telecommuting agreements require staff to be responsible for certain office or other related costs that would otherwise be provided. So there's a lot of information there. But what we have found is that there is, at least from our organization, and I think you can see with some of the things that Penny was able to show, at least with the volunteers and the families, is that there is productivity that occurs. There is a lot of good work. I can speak for myself, and unfortunately, I know that there have been times in which I have exchanged emails with staff members at 8 o'clock at night. So there is times in which there may be even increased productivity at times, that when there isn't the corresponding driving and other things at certain times of the year. And recognizing that with extension education and outreach education, relationships are key. So by no means are we throwing everything out and saying we are 100% virtual 100% of the time. We're able to use these tools that we have and be able to pick and choose and work with our groups to find the best fit at the best time. So one other thing I did just want to share, at least the not quite final, I just wanted to share the 2020 final, the budget, just some summaries. There still are a couple things that just need to cycle through, but a couple of things just wanted to share. In every category, our total percentage of spent percent used was under 100%. So, which is to be expected. Our expenses with the personal services, which is our county staff, was 80% spent, so 20% remaining. That would also reflect that we had a vacancy that we held open through there. Our contracted services, which includes telephone and maintenance and service, was at 87% spent. So we still needed those tools in order to work, and they were still used. Taking a look at our office supplies, which also includes mileage and travel, that was at 34%. So it's one of those things that that's a large chunk of our budget. Office supplies as well. We did actually spend and utilize a fairly large amount of office supplies, because as Penny indicated and the other educators, we still have programs going on. And only a portion, we were able to use some of the CARES funding for some of like the disinfectants and those types of things, but that didn't cover all of it. So that also got lumped in with some of the personal protective or cleanliness. We did have some unexpected, so it's not a huge amount, but under the fixed charges, our vehicle insurance with the black truck went up, which is something we couldn't control. So that actually does show 128% increase. That's over, that's a $500 line item. So we adjusted that for next year. All said and done, our total budget was at about 80%. So 20% was underspent, which is reflective of those areas that we did not, that we were not able to capture because of our working situation. So we'll see. When we had to create the budget, and I know I've shared this with all of you, by the time to get everything created, we were in, August, September, July, August, September of last year. So we had to have the same lens of being optimistic and realistic, and in most cases, fairly close to a status quo budget last year. So we'll see if there are any adjustments that can be made as we move on throughout the year of 2021, which we just flipped that calendar to see. So that's my update. I'm happy to answer or entertain any questions or comments from anybody.
Good enough to eliminate anything that you didn't use. Basically the same amount, like if you don't use.
At this point, yes. At this point, yes. The 2021 was based off of the 2020 budget that was approved, that would have been approved in November of 2019. And I guess that was why I tried to engage this group and the department heads and the finance committee and the whole county board to recognize that that as department heads we did the best that we could to be able to predict what we think might happen in 2021. No, there are not plans, but what it does allow is, I know that there are other departments that in some areas overspent because of their response to the pandemic and things that weren't necessarily able to be totally captured by CARES Act funding or other sources. So that will essentially then be able to allow the finance team to be able to at least create a picture for the whole 2021 and try to show the responsible use of the tax dollars as we go. So no, I'm at least as far as this point, we have not been asked to make any adjustments to 2021 moving forward based on our expenses in 2020.
As far as the ag staffer, Greg
Yep.
Blondie's position, and they're gonna start doing a statewide where they're gonna incorporate different groups to answer questions.
Yes.
Are they looking at possibly doing something like that with other departments also, when somebody resigns or moves on, that they'll just look to get other counties to fill that vacancy without spending that additional money in the future?
I think that's possible. I think those are things that are on the table. One of the things is that, and I'm not to sugarcoat it, the state budget situation is, we're not anticipating a very good budget outcome for the University of Wisconsin. And as a division of the University of Wisconsin system, we are really doing all that we can to think ahead so that we are able to maintain the staffing that we have and not have to use other tools that are available to make to balance the budget. So that is something, Bernie, yes, that will be on the table. The one thing, if you look at the Ag Institute, that adds a slight amount of complexity, is that a portion of the budget that they're allocated also goes to state specialists. And those specialists are great individuals and are focused in their area. And it's the outreach educators that need to collaborate and work with them to ensure that information and the tools are out there for the producers there. So those are individuals that we see, the positions like the county-based ag positions, and that's part of the story. The other part of the story are the integrated specialists that are, and they're not all based in Madison, they are based throughout the state, who are doing research and conducting research and then working then with those outreach educators to get the information out to the producers. So that's also where where those dollars are utilized. And both the specialists and the outreach educators, everybody needs everybody. So there needs to be a client group in which to focus the research, and the outreach educators need the research specialists to be able to have the information to take out and provide the information to the client groups. So they're both I'm thinking of my word in which they're I'll think of it on the drive home. But they both need each other.
Interdependent.
Interdependent, yeah. And they're not the only one. So the other institutes have specialists, just not quite the quantity. And in the grand scheme of things, the Ag Institute has a lot of diversity as far as with dairy, livestock, crops and soils, and they always have. So that's also what adds to it. But yes, the other institutes are going to have to go that way because their amount of money isn't increasing, and it's not like the Ag Institute's going down, but everybody else has got more. Everybody's going to be going down, and there's going to need to be hopefully creative solutions moving forward. And I'd love to be wrong. I'd love for the state budget to come out just swimmingly awesome, and then we're able to meet everybody's needs and create some awesome partnerships. But I think this is where I think I have to put the realistic hat on and think that it might be a tough row the next 6 months as the legislators are trying to work with the governor's office to craft a budget.
Okay. I think that covers all of Chris's subjects, department activities, regions, correct?
Correct.
Meaning we're down to the next meeting, which is Monday, March 29th. Is that okay with everybody?
Works for me.
Yep.
Okay.
Works.
In that case, thank you all for being here. Enjoy this sunny day. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.